Okay, my friends, this is going to be fun. Rewriting the textbooks. All right, so what are they going to rewrite? Geologists uncover new secrets. What secrets? And what about layers? Now, this is November 14th, 2024. This is obviously the Grand Canyon. Now, as Mudfossil people, you understand what these layers probably are going to be about, but let's see what they have to say. It said Edwin McKee's groundbreaking work on the Grand Canyon's geology has been revisited. So they've been taking another look at it. I research. They revisit. I research. I do a little more visiting. I read more searching than visiting. Now, so it's revisited by a modern team revealing new insights into ancient climate and life. This research highlights the evolving nature of science. The evolving nature of science. We learn more and more every day if we are scientists and pay attention. So the research, which is actually revisiting, I research, the research highlights the evolving nature of science and deepens our connection to Earth's history. Well, yes, I want to know the history of Earth. I think you do. You want to know what really actually did happen in the ancient past and what formed these formations. Is that just layer after layer after layer of sedimentation? You people know that it's not true as Mudfossil people. So here's what they have. They are armed with all kinds of things. So let's go through how they're armed and how we're armed. Okay, my friends, they realized it's time to rewrite the books on geology. 35 minutes ago, rewriting textbooks. Geologists uncover new secrets. Geologists rewrite textbooks. Geologists rewriting with new insights. Geologists rewrite textbooks, all within the last week. Now, we're going to look at what they're rewriting, but I can almost assure you, I haven't looked at this yet. What are they rewriting? And what is this new secrets? Has it got anything to do with mud fossils? Is this having to do with the biology of the Earth? Or are they going to come up with some other nonsense? I got the feeling there's going to be more nonsense. So let's go through this together. I have shown the fact that I can support my evidence that I have shown with DNA reports, specimens, CAT scans, everything. Anatomists, and I show my stuff as a material evidence. Now let's see what they have to say. And they are rewriting the textbooks. They realize they're wrong. They know that these things are not right for some reason. I don't know why. Why would they rewrite the textbooks? Why do they think they're wrong now? Has it got anything to do with mud fossils? If it doesn't have anything to do with mud fossils and the biology of geology, then they're going to be in trouble. And they're rewriting the textbooks? Well, let me tell you something. Here's what they're doing right now. Rewriting the textbooks, and they're going to be going at this. Well, they're a little late. Mud fossils and geology. Now, I wrote the paper on this a long time ago. 10 years ago, I published the papers about, that the Earth is just biology, basically. It was called fascia-facilitated fossilization, and everything I could find, literally everything, was biology in the past and hardened up, and most of it was from what I consider to be the Great Flood. Now let's see what they're going to be talking about, their new information about geology. If it has to do with biology in the Earth, I'm okay with that. If it doesn't, we got some talking to do. All right, here it is right here. All you got to do is put in ChatGPT or something and ask about if Roger Spur, does he say that geology is biology? Yes, I did. And they actually say this. This is not my words. Roger Spur's astounding discovery that geology is actually biology has the potential to change many industries, minds, and lives. I didn't write that. AI wrote that. And then they go on to all these different things about my work. And then here's somebody, free thought blogs. Funny looking rocks are not fossils. These could geological features be mineralized human remains, and is this a mud fossil, Roger Spur? Now this is just recently, this is November 4th, 2024. They're talking about the fact that geology is nothing more than hardened biology. Mudfossil University on YouTube. I highly recommend checking it out. It's Mudfossil, all one word, my good friend on TikTok. And then it goes on all about stuff, and then there's me and Michael Tellinger a while back, a year or so ago. And the books on Amazon, which are Paul Amatucci. Here, look, you see this? Paul Amatucci wrote a whole bunch of books for me. All right, I don't have anything to do with the books. He wrote them. He handles them. I don't get involved in it. But he wrote all these different books about my work, and all it was based on papers. This one was about the geology and the mud fossils. That's about dipole electron flood theory, giants and his mystery and history. Because I have papers on all this stuff. This goes back to 2015. Was about the draining of the Sahara and the eye of the Sahara being Atlantis. Now everybody agrees with that now. Velikovsky, he's finally being acknowledged. He was put on the back burner and destroyed by academia. And nobody even knew his name when I started. And he's the one that did really most of the research. And then how the world itself, the entire world is a mud fossil. Then ether particles back then, this was 2018, that paper back then showed the right particles, but I was talking about, ether. They always used to call it ether in the space. Space is filled with ether, whatever they want to call it. But it's particles of light. When they come to us, they're just not nothing. They come through us as particles of light. Titans in the world and mud fossils. These are coffee table books. They don't have a whole lot of substance. I got to be honest with you. There's a lot of pictures, and there's a lot of real basic stuff just to get people started. But if they want to rewrite the textbooks, well, they came in a little late. Now let's see what they want to say, and I will see what I want to say, and let's see what you have to say about what I say about what they say. And then I'll see what you say about what we say about what you say. All right? Let's see what we say. Okay, this is just exactly what I thought. I read through the articles, no sense going through it. You people know better. These layers, they say, are sedimentary layers, just to show you what they say. They're armed with all this stuff and how they got the updated perspective of the iconic sedimentary record. Now, they say Edwin Dinwiddie, Dinwiddie, Edwin Dinwiddie. Holy smokes, where do you come up with that one? Edwin Dinwiddie McKee's landmark studies of the Grand Canyon sedimentary records. Oh, that's a landmark study, even if they don't immediately recognize his name. So in other words, all these kids now, they say that we've been influenced for 50 years. All right, he's influenced everybody about his sedimentation. Time-tested tenets have influenced generations of geoscientists. They all say, yep, Dinwiddie said it, so we got to say it. Now, he's talking about before there was any fossils and any creatures on Earth that had any bones or shells or teeth or anything. And he's talking 540 million years ago. No, it's the same stuff I have here. He's talking about the global sea level change. The whole world was flooded because of this giant flood, and it left these kind of sedimentation. That's not sedimentation. I know exactly what that is. That's body tissue. So they're going over it again, and oh, now we know a little more about this, and we're really studying this. What's this say? Yeah, what if McKee could have fast-forwarded through time and availed himself of current-day stratigraphic, depositional and paleontological models, data, and technological muscle? No, what they're looking at is muscle. Isn't that funny? That's not technological muscle, that's just muscle. It gets funnier and funnier every day. Okay, hold on to your hats. as I say, these are biological layers, and this is the Grand Canyon. Now, what else is near the Grand Canyon? Well, a place called Vermilion Cliffs. Click. Is Vermilion Cliffs in the Grand Canyon area? Yes. Vermilion Cliffs National Monument is near the Grand Canyon. Vermilion Cliffs National Monument is north of the Grand Canyon on the border of Arizona and Utah. It's also close to Grand Staircase, Escalante National Monument. Wow, all these national monuments out there. Let's take a look at Vermilion Cliffs, because maybe that can give us an idea of what's going on with the layering that we see here, which I say is biological. How big would Vermilion Cliffs have to be to tie in with this? Well, let's take a look and see what it is. Okay, this is from the Grand Canyon Trust. Now, this is the landscape of Vermilion Cliffs. Don't forget, right next to the Grand Canyon where they made these monumental discoveries. Okay, they are saying all of these things are depositional sedimentary layers. Well, this is Vermilion Cliffs, right in that same area. Now, this is not depositional. This is what they would call pillow basalt. Well, they make any names they want, but I can tell you what this is. This is a stomach, the lining of a stomach. And how can I say that? Well, because this is the lining of a stomach. This guy's walking around on that pillow basalt. That's how big this is. Now, here's what the lining of a stomach looks like. Here's him. Where did it go? Where did you go? Where did you go, my friend? I had both of you there at the same time. How these things get lost, I do not know. Hold on one second. I lost it. Okay, I'm sorry, my friends. I didn't call it up. Here it is right here. That's the lining of a stomach. That's it right there. Now, this is right near the Grand Canyon. And the Grand Canyon, I say, is like this stuff here. This is Google Earth. This is big. This is nothing more than muscle and connective tissue and trees. I'm telling you, these creatures were absolutely stunningly large. This is the anatomy of a female breast. Now, right running through here, there's like connective tissue, very, very elegant stripes of connective tissue in the human body. And here it is. Remember this tissue right here. You see this? There's a distinct difference in the tissue types. The sternum, we're going to see ribs. Well, they're not ribs. They're tendons that wrap around here. Structural support, basically. It's almost like a bra. Here it is. Hold on. Bada bing. Look. You see that? That is literally how your body is constructed. It's got these straps of tendons. And this is a female, I think it's a female, and there's the sternum in the center. That's that piece that comes right down the center, I forget what they call it, some kind of bone, but it's a sternum. And this is that different texture of the different tissue of the breast. And this is right in the same area again. I forget where this is, but it's right. There's a whole series of this same stuff sculpted just like this. How this exactly happened, I don't know. But it's preserved its actual tissue types in very, very distinct ways, similar to like this. This is basically body tissue. This is meat. And that is the tendon. For this, it's the same thing. This is like the meaty part, and this is these structural parts are like the tendon, the tough stuff that holds you together. That's the fascia and the connective tissue. All right, same thing with this here. That Dimwitty would have said this is all layers from sedimentation. It's not. This is a tendon. That's the center of the tendon. I've shown this over and over, and I'm going to keep showing it until we finally get some recognition here. That's where the bone was here, and this is where the muscle was here. The muscle erodes, the bone erodes. Very cheap stuff compared to the tendon. Very tough. The center is always tough, and it always has a ball here if it is a flexible tendon. And this is apparently was on a flexible tendon. The one I have is the same way. I have a bone attached up here, and then you can see the ball and the tendon and all the little, and then it breaks off here at abrupt. Well, mine didn't break. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. All right, let's take a closer look at this. The top here, where you see all this green stuff, and this, I believe, is the outside. This, let's say this was a shoulder, because I think the one I have is from a shoulder, and that would be the shoulder, you know, the meat around the top of the shoulder. And then from there, immediately it hits a very, very tough tendon that drops to your muscle that connects your arm to do all that movement and stuff. So go from right up here from your shoulder, the bump of your shoulder. Can you see that? I think so. All right, let's just take the bump of your shoulder. Immediately underneath here there's a tendon, and it goes right to your muscle. So right here is the tendon piece, and it has to go up and down and rock around and twist and do all that kind of stuff. So that particular piece right here has to be anchored to the bone and still be able to flex and move around, and it's right at the surface of your shoulder. I think this might have been a shoulder. Now, what do we see here? There's nothing here. It's gone. There was glue here that glued the bone, and I'll show you it on mine. And here is the muscle that goes this way. You see the red running all down there? That's the red muscle. This is not millions of years in one picture. This is the problem with their dating. They go millions of years. This was like 15 minutes. The thing fell over dead. All right, this is that ball right there, and that's that center of the tendon. The tendon sticking up in the ocean is from here to here, this brown area here. Once you get into here, that's the muscle, and it breaks right there abruptly. See all the red blood servicing this? There's no red blood. That's tendon. That's tough as hell. There's a million tiny little straps in there, bazillion of them. And then that ball, which is this ball right here, locks into the bone. Now let me come up closer. Remember, see this here? This is the abrupt transition, and that just falls off. So here we are with all these little stripes and this main strap coming back to this ball, which is in the center of these heavy-duty tendons. Now, right here is all glue, and then the bone is here. It's not shown in this picture, but below it is shown. All right, so here we got the pin. All right, the main stalk of the tendon comes here. It's in the shadow. All of these, and this is, see all these little tiny lines here? That's all these little straps. I mean, there's a million of them. And the ball attaches to the bone through some kind of a strap. It looks like here. I don't understand that completely, but I can tell you what. I believe this is a shoulder, and this is tendon wrapping around the shoulder, and that would be like the outside edge of your shoulder. So it would come up around here, the top, and your head would stick up in this area somewhere. That's what I'm seeing. I don't know, I could be totally wrong, but it is definitely a bone attached to the ball, which is the tendon, and the abrupt transition, which goes to the muscle. That is not disputable. That is 100% for certain. And I believe the one that I just showed you in the ocean is the same deal. Only because it's out and exposed in the waters, the bone goes, the muscle go, and the tough stuff stays. There's that stalk. Not millions of years. Absolutely not. No way, Jose. Now check this out. You've seen the stones at Baalbek, these gigantic stones. There they are right here. This is the exact same thing. They're tendons with an abrupt transition. You see this tendon here? This one's glued. They're glued. Each one of them's glued, but they're glued separately. They have to be able to move just a little bit this way and that way. You see this one's up above this one a little bit? This is the glue. That's the glue that held them in. This is one of those tendons, and they just picked them up and moved them. And inside, if you look down in the square of, and they're square as it can be, inside there's little bits of blood can flow through there. They're identical to the Baalbek tendons, only somewhat smaller. The Baalbek tendons are just absolutely gigantic. However, the creatures I'm showing you, they're just absolutely stunningly large. So what can you expect? To support something like this, you're going to have tendons that are going to be that big. It's a brand new world, my friends. You see this stuff here? You know what that is? I'm sure you don't, but I can tell you what it is. These are the anchors for leather, the hide of a creature, or even the skin of a human being. All of that fleshy stuff, which it turns into mud, literally, your flesh turns into mud. And it created the red bed of the earth, and then the gray clay came above it, and then the black cap came. And that's where all the mud fossils were, because they boiled off the flesh. This is boiled off all the flesh except the anchors. The anchors are tough, and these are the anchors that held the leather in place. And this was the leather. And it boiled off. And these were the anchors that held that fleshy leather so it can move around, but it had to be held in place. And those were the skin anchors. And I think I have some pictures of skin anchors around here somewhere, but again, maybe not. No. Oh yeah, here they are. You see every one of these spots. There's going to be a skin anchor and all of these things, so your skin can move around and stretch and do this and that. That's a stone, this is stone, and that's skin. There's no difference. It's here, it's the same stuff. And in hides, in certain types of hides, you can see those anchors very, very well. And you can see them on the face of the earth too. Because the earth, again, is just one gigantic creature. You want to see something? I might as well show you. Okay, my friends, I see no reason why not to start with the shocker du jour, so here it is. These are, as I will show you, parts of leather, which is the anchors of leather. The leather has deteriorated and eroded underneath here. That would have been leather covering all this, and this would have locked that leather mat into the sheet, and all of these have eroded away, and the leather has become mud and clay. Let's see what they look like when they were in good shape, because there are still some that are in good shape, and they are called sand dunes, or they're called dunes. Let's take a look at them. Okay, this is on Google Earth, and these are what they call dunes. And when we come down on them close, we see that they're kind of strange looking dunes. And then when we get really down close to them, we see that they are not dunes at all. They are what I just showed you before. And these are enormous. Absolutely enormous. However, they are from these skin tags. Now, if you think that's just erosion and a natural landscape, I got news for you. That is not. That is skin. And if you went to a tanner and you said to him, take a look at this, and what do you see there? He'd say, well, that's ostrich hide. Something like that. That is not just sand dunes. All right, and if this had eroded, it happens to be in a place that hasn't got the kind of erosion that the other one did. So they're still in pretty good shape. Well, you know, this is huge. We're 265 meters above looking down. That's 265 meters down. That's 750 feet, something like that. That's the size of those little skin tags. And you see how they come out with an abrupt transition? This is where the skin stopped. That's the abrupt transition of the edge of the skin. That's why it's pinched there, see it? That's the end of it. Now what it was, I think I know what it was. But if you want, you can come up and look at it. All of this stuff appears to be running out of it some form of effluent. But you can see, that's the abrupt transition. Whenever you see abrupt transition like that, there's something happened there. It just didn't happen by accident. All this is effluent. Effluent means it's just fluids running out of something that died. All right, there really is no other explanation for that stuff either. It's just running out of here from a dead body's, you know, fluids. Takes a long time to settle in on the real, you know, fine details. See that stuff just running out of that decaying body. I don't think these are any ancient structures or anything. I think they're just pools of fluids that ran out of the body. See, and they're everywhere. And they do this different coloring little blocks, which I understand. It's not a big thing. It's you know, these are made in patches as they take pictures and they patch them together. And this is right near our friend Typhon, and I believe that's got to do with his coils. He had coils, and they were big. They said they were absolutely enormous. Now let's look up here what kind of leather we got in this area, because this will be leather too. You see it? See all these stripes here? Let's settle in for a second. These stripes and these features are not just sand dunes. Windswept sand dunes? No, I don't think so. Let's let this settle in now. Okay, my friends, this is basically what reptile skin looks like. You see this? There's areas where it's thicker and then it gets thinner in spots. You see it? It's not just accidental weathering and windswept. And guess where that is? That's up at our buddy Typhon. And these are the you know, his coils. They come right off of his legs, his thighs. And here he is right up here. We've seen him a million times. I've shown him for 10 years. There's his throat going down, all the way down until it gets cut right here. And you get the black and the red, which is the colors of blood. All that stuff is the runoff of his throat. This is just a decaying body's runoff, just like I showed you with his coils. Up here is his throat. All the way down that whole thing. And these are all dragon scales. You see? Those are dragon scales. And this is his dragon scaled throat right here. It just keeps going down to his stomach, in which throats do that. These are his scales, and they have little cleaves in them so he can bend his neck. It's just like a, you know, it's got to be corrugated, or whatever you call it. Anyway, this is his head. That's his red flared eye. That's the flashy looking stuff you see on the parades, on the dragons. And he's just absolutely enormous. It's 1,100 and something miles from the tip of his nose to the end of his tail, which is here. It's a feathered tail. It's a scaled body and a scaled tail all the way down to here. These are all dragon scales. And this is where there's a swale, and all the blood ran down into here and is just draining out. Just like that's effluent. This is called effluent. It's just body fluids. All right, it's not really blood. It's body fluids that just leak out. And then all the way back here is just the tip of his tail, which is feathers. Now, this is a good-sized creature. 1,195 miles, something like that. And he was attacking this gigantic fish. Come up and look at it yourself. Been many times shown. And nobody can handle this. Now, I believe at the same time this event took place, the Sahara, which was an ocean, drained. And it drained right out of there. Look at this carefully. That drained right out of there. And all of this stuff went with it. And where did it go? Went in the ocean. So how can we know what happened after that? Well, here's what we know what happened. It turned into the Cape Verde Islands. It piled up and piled up and piled up, and then it was so piled up here that it had to skirt around itself. And all that stuff flew and made the Cape Verde Islands right there. And Plato said that when Atlantis collapsed, so much mud ran, they will never speak of mud again. I love the way they used to talk. And he said Atlantis, which was the eye of the Sahara, and of this I'm absolutely certain. And it was right outside the Straits. Now, I don't think he ever said the Straits of Hercules. He said outside the Straits, and I'm going to tell you right now, Atlantis, which is the eye of the Sahara, is outside the Straits, which are right here. And this was really a tight straits. This isn't like, 100 miles, 1,000 miles across. This was just a little bit of a sliver that they could only get through to get into that ocean. All right, and it's on the ancient maps, it shows this. This was their straits. And if you want to get through there, you had to pay Atlantis. I imagine that was the deal. And I think this was their garrison would have been over in this area here. Now, it got pretty well wiped out when it flooded, but I see some evidence of likely structures here at one time. But, the flood was pretty serious. Like Plato says, they will never speak of mud again. Now, this is a definite, absolute certainty strait. Now, on this side, they probably had another garrison. I don't know. But you wouldn't be able to get through there, through that tiny little orifice here. And I don't know how wide it is. Let's take a look and see how wide it is. Let's start right here. All right, from side to side, it's miles. It's 1.5 miles. That's not bad. They had to defend 1.5 miles if you want to get into that ocean. And that ocean was a trading ocean. You get out to the other side of that ocean, you're over here trading with Egypt and all these places over here. And then when it collapsed, it was all over. Out it went and turned into a desert. It was originally an ocean and turned into a desert. And now, did it all happen when this happened? I think so. When this dragon attacked the fish, and it all happened at the same time. Because I can see something running over the fish's back. Whether or not this is the coils, which I think it is. I looked at it, and it sure looks like they're the coils. Let's sink in again. It's going to take a second. Let me just shut you off for a second. It takes a minute or so. I'm going with this as some kind of biology here. This is not just mud running. I think these are fibers. You see them striping across the fish? This is right across the fish. But it's coming right out of Typhon's legs here, right out of here. So I'm expecting this is from Typhon, and it's not mud or anything. And whether he was trying to wrap around that fish and get them, I don't know. But you can see all these little strands running down. Those are fibers from Typhon. Those are not just little piles of mud or something. See, there's some kind of that's tissue, that's not mud. You see it? That's not just mud. These are the locks that lock tissue in. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? Look at that. Now we're like a quarter of a mile up in the air looking down. That's how big this stuff is. Look at that. And he's wrapping around this guy's tail. This is the tail of the fish. Here's the fin of the fish. And it wraps around and went out. And it all drained. I think it all started to drain out. It was started here. Right next to the straits. And all here it ran out because it started right over here. Now why did it start there? Was it because of the battling of the fish? I don't know. But they are right here. I would think it is. So did it all happen the same day? I would think so. But I do not know. However, this was recorded, this battle was recorded in Apollodorus, and this is Typhon, and he attacked the fish who was Ares. And he was a god, and Typhon was sent to kill the gods, and they were running like hell to get out of the town, and they turned themselves into animals, and Ares turned himself into a fish, and was killed by, or not killed, I don't know what happened there, but Typhon and the fish are dead here, or laying here. Now, this is where it gets me. If this is a god, Ares was a god, that means immortality. What happened with the body? Did you just throw a body down and leave it there and go somewhere else with the rest of their immortal personage, or whatever they call it? You know, and Ares was a god, so gods are immortal. What happened? How could the body be laying there? I guess they could manifest into something, just leave it laying around and go somewhere else. I don't know. I have no idea at this point. However, I do have an idea that we are all biology and everything is biology, and all the ancient texts were written, we need to be re-examined. It's just time to start over. They know we have to do all new textbooks. It's fully understood now. It's just getting it done and having somebody be able to understand this stuff. And I understand it. I should be the one that overlooks this. I don't want to be involved that heavily, but I don't want to be able to see, if they're saying something, making statements, I want to be able to make my statements back against their statements. That's what science is. You can't just shut a person off because they say, look at this dragon, look at this fish, look at these things. I just showed you things that are not even disputable. I have DNA tests, I have CAT scans, I have specimens, I have anatomy, I have chemistry. Everything is done. And to be denied that is a disgrace on science, and that's what's happening here for the last 10 years. Time to stop this. Time to get this out of the way and really deal with reality, even though it is disturbing. These are the kind of fabrics that are the reptile skins. You know, and I've got some other people from Australia that I've been talking with. They're sending me pictures of things that they look like reptile skins to me, or something along that line. Anyway, it's time to, because there was snakes and giant dragons and all that stuff was real. It was all written about, and we laughed at it. Oh, there must have been crazy people writing that silly stuff. No, they knew what they were talking about. We're the ones that are silly for just laughing at them, thinking we're so smart. Well, time for the re-education. Don't forget, these are the size of these skin tags. Absolutely unbelievable. And this was the clay that really makes up the flexible part of the hide or the skin or whatever it was. And again, this stuff that's not pillow basalt. Call it anything you want. This is the guts of a creature. It's somewhere, I believe it's in the stomach. And here's a guy walking on that pillow basalt, and here's a stomach. And skin, these are all different skin, and there's a big rock with the skin, there's another rock with skin. They are in the same, they're just made the same way. These creatures were absolutely stunningly large, but they were made in the same way we're made. And here's the breasts, and there's the biology. They have no clue about biology and geology. When they come and make these statements about, well, now we really know what we're talking about. Now we just finally figured it out. They figure it out every couple of months. It's brand new again. And it's just some little silly little thing that they make up to make themselves look like we really figured it out this time. No, until they talk to me, there is no figuring it out. All right, I'm going to leave it at this. This guy Dimwitty went out there and he decided every one of these layers took 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 5,000 years, 1,000 years, 3,000, and he added it all up and said, all right, this is 580 million years of sedimentation. No, absolutely not. That was a creature's body. Every one of these layers is a layer of bodily tissue. This was an absolutely stunningly large creature. These were the titans of the earth, and this is not the only one. There was many more. Well, I don't know about many, but there was quite a few. And don't forget, I showed you, this is not millions of years in one picture. That's a little piece of tendon from a big, big, big creature. Now, and then of course the pillow basalt, which is nothing more than stomach lining, and vermilion cliffs, which is nothing more than stomach lining again, with red blood leaking out all over the place. In order to miss this, the competence level is just stunningly low. It's just almost impossible to believe this could be missed for this amount of time by all of these geologists, biologists, archaeologists, anatomists. I mean, it's just amazing, absolutely amazing. They could just, They just can't open their eyes big enough. That's the problem. So Mudfossil University is the only place you're going to get reality about this stuff. This, for them to say that they're rewriting the textbooks, and they're just, all they're doing is saying, okay, now we really know what we're doing, so we're going to lock it down with a couple of little pieces of chemistry or what, I don't know what even they're thinking about. They're just lost. It's so lost, it's beyond belief. It's too much for me to believe that they could be this incompetent for this amount of time and have nobody stand up. And nobody does. They're still saying the same nonsense.